I'm hearing you speaking, and like I'm seeing like the ways, right? I mean, obviously you were talking about like your dad in the beginning and being there with him, and then trying to buck the system, not wanting to do what he did, and then you end up doing something that he didn't want you to do,
Yep.
and it end up being your bedrock to where you are right now. So
Right.
again, I want to talk about like time travel being a real thing, right? We're in the metaverse, right? So let's say you can go back in time, right? Any time in your lifespan, and just say you have a 24-hour window, and you can go back and talk to your younger self. One, what would you go back to when? Like, when would you go back to? And two, what would you talk to about yourself? Like, how would you change where you are to make it happen a lot faster?
Hmm. I would actually go pretty early back in my life. I would go back to when I was about 9 years old.
Mm,
I'm going to share a really pivotal moment that happened in my life, and it really shaped, in a bad way and a good way, who I am today. All right, so story time. So when I was 9 years old, I was at this really awkward phase of my life. I got big glasses and I started putting on weight. I was getting chubby. My mom chopped my hair off and I had this little pixie cut. I just looked ridiculous. But I was cute, right? But even against the other girls with the long blonde hair, and here I am, this Italian girl, I stuck out. And I just, I was struggling at that point with my confidence. I knew I looked different. I was a bit more bold than the rest. I didn't fit in. And I remember my dad was like, let's take you on a trip. Let's go down to Texas. Let's go visit your uncle and your aunt. I'm like, that sounds awesome. So he took me on this really special dad and daughter trip, which was so fun. And we show up at the door, and my uncle opens the door, and he looks at me and he looks at my dad and he busts out laughing. And he goes, isn't she just a little potato?
wow.
Now, as a 9 year old girl, that's not something that you ever want to hear. And it was a moment in my life that was a catalyst, because I woke up and I realized, oh my God, this is the way the world sees me. And if I'm not thin and I'm not pretty, nobody's going to like me, is literally the belief I had. And that belief became so ingrained in my life that I thought that belief all the way up until my divorce a couple of years ago. And even still thereafter, you consistently have to fight those lies in your brain. I don't think we ever fully release those. Does that make sense? I think you always, if they pop up, you have to continually go, that's not truth. That being said, that shaped who I was. And for many years, I ran from my capability and my calling, because I tried very hard to fit who I was into a box. I was always told I was too big, too bold, too much. I think if I could go back to those early days and say, yeah, you're right, you are too big, good, because you're going to do something far bigger than the average person,
Hmm.
far more important in your bigness and boldness as a human. And if I could tell that girl, it's not about the way you think others perceive you, I think that would have really shifted my trajectory in a different way.